Joe, pronouns they, them in Ohio, thinks I got Doyle's fallacy wrong. And since I think that I invented it, and if I didn't, then I co-invented it or independently invented it. I don't know how I could get it wrong, but there could be something wrong there. So welcome, Joe. What did I miss? Or what did I get wrong?
So, well, could you state the fallacy for me, please?
Oh, well, the quote from Doyle put into Sherlock Holmes' mouth is that once you've eliminated the impossible, whatever remains, however improbable, must be true. The fallacy is in thinking that you have access. It's technically true. The fallacy is in thinking that you have access to necessarily exclude all the things that are impossible. And I don't know how anybody could do that. That's the key, is that we are going to constantly fool ourselves into thinking, oh, well, we've eliminated all the other possibilities, so this must be the right one.
See, there's the problem. Well, not a problem. I'm coming in with a gentle, pedantic literary critique. The problem is the way you've stated it is I've eliminated all other possibilities, therefore whatever else should be remaining would be the truth. And that requires comprehensive knowledge, which you state, and truthfully so, that it can't happen. But I think the actual quote provides more of a reasonableness, because I can reasonably show in this circumstance that these things are impossible. And that's what Sherlock was about. He was taking in the environment. He was reading all the clues, and he was making an assessment. No. Okay, what?
No, I'm completely unimpressed by Sherlock Holmes. I'm unimpressed by any fictional character who's given access to information that the audience isn't given access to, who's written to be a sort of super thinker, when the person writing him is demonstrably not a super thinker, not reasonable at all. His wife was a spiritist. He thought Houdini could dematerialize. Sir Arthur Conan Doyle bought into the Cottingley fairies and was convinced that because when Houdini escaped from his bonds and came out with the ropes and shackles still tied and locked, that this meant the only reasonable conclusion was that Houdini could dematerialize. This is why it's in my magic act while I'm escaping from things. And the notion that once you eliminate once you eliminate the impossible, whatever remains, however improbable, must be true, is true, but it's trivially true. The whole issue is, how do you know that you've eliminated all other possibilities? And that's where our mistakes lie. That's where Doyle's mistakes lie. Sorry, what?
Not all other impossibilities. That's not all other impossibilities.
All other possibilities. Once you have eliminated all other possibilities, whatever remains, however improbable, must be true.
Okay. You cut out very slightly. Okay, I grant you that, but on a more meta level, I like that Sherlock Holmes is the character and the super thinker character, because it's a superhero comic for all intents and purposes for that era. Spider-Man is not real either, but with great responsibility comes great power comes great responsibility is a truth that we can hold on to. And I like the relaying the regulating all the impossible, and you can from a reasonable look about the situation. If this guy is found in the desert, it's reasonable to include that it's impossible for him to have drowned.
Oh, no. That's not reasonable to conclude. So you're going to call and tell me that I'm technically wrong on some pedantic point, and then suggest that it's impossible for someone to drown. Then it's impossible for someone to drown in the desert when we know that's not true?
No. I said
you just said that.
To assume that it was. I apologize if I misspoke. I meant to say it was reasonably to assume that this is impossible during the circumstances.
No, it's not. No, it's not. It is not reasonable to assume that something is impossible. Impossibility needs to be demonstrated. You don't get to assume it and then claim it's reasonable. Plus, we haven't given any of the details of the person who's actually out there in the desert. What if they have water in their lungs? Then the actual evidence suggests they did drown. And it's not impossible. This is the thing. This is the problem that I have with Doyle and Sherlock Holmes. It convinces people they're smart when they're not.
I disagree.
Well, one of us is smart. Sorry,
this is wrong.
That was for fun. That was for fun. But if you're going to claim that the evidence suggests that something's impossible, that's not the way impossibility works. That's not the way reason works. Now, if you had said, if we have a dead body in the desert, and that we're looking for potential causes, it would be reasonable to not start with drowning if we don't have the evidence for that.
Okay, you're right.
But that's different from saying it's reasonable to decide that's impossible. Anyway, I got to move on. I appreciate it. And I love the fact that you're thinking about this stuff because it's just me talking.
Thank you.
Thanks, Joe. Yeah, I don't know for sure if I was the first one to identify this as a fallacy. It's entirely possible somebody else did at some point. I don't know. I use it as part of my magic show because I talk about Houdini and I talk about Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. In particular, I like the fact that this was a troubling aspect for their friendship because they were friends, and yet Houdini is running around debunking essentially spiritualists, which Doyle's wife was. And so you got one of the greatest magicians who's ever lived exposing, hey, you guys are doing magic tricks. I know these magic tricks. Look, I can do that stuff all day too. And Doyle, I don't know if he was duped by his wife or if he genuinely believed her, but he believed in the Cottingley fairies. And I always also caution, we shouldn't laugh or make fun of somebody for believing the Cottingley fairies, because if you take a look at the picture, I wish we had the ability to pull up a picture of the Cottingley fairies here to show. And technically we do, we just didn't prepare for it. They look like exactly what they were, which is pictures of fairies that had been cut out of magazines and, you know, set up on the flowers. And then the girls are behind there and they're taking pictures of them. I don't think it would fool anybody today because it doesn't qualify as Photoshop. It just, this was early enough in photography where people didn't know, oh, you could fake something like that.
Right.
Now we know. Now you're not going to be probably fooled by a picture of the Cottingley fairies. But
I just appreciate how passionate you are in your disdain for Doyle. It's really lovely.
Yeah, I don't like Doyle one bit. I'm not impressed with him as an author. I'm not impressed with him as a thinker. I do, however, I don't despise everything about Sherlock Holmes because I watched the ones with Benedict Cumberbatch, and I like his portrayal of Holmes. But I read a lot of mystery books growing up. Those and Agatha Christie stuff and Encyclopedia Brown's probably where I got my start. And if you've got young kids, that's a great start on critical thinking. Books like Encyclopedia Brown, sometimes the Hardy Boys. I think there's some problematic stuff in there. I haven't read it in 40 some odd years, 40 some odd. We'll go with that. It's just, anyway. We have gotten far afield here because now I'm thinking, because I'm going to be doing a magic show at the American Atheist Convention. So now my brain is in the, let's sort out all the details and what's going to change. But
I cannot wait for that.
It should be fun.